Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuhon and Son, a special edition. But right before we get into this episode about Dad's adventures in Spain, we got to tell you about Gamma, MontrealMartialArts.com, 514-281-9928.
1121 St. Catherine West, 5th floor.
And we got multiple disciplines there. We got Jeek-Kune-Do, the Bruce Lee method. We got Keji Kimbo, a Hawaii street fighting martial art developed in the streets by people who are challenging soldiers to fights.
And we have Cali, which is called Paquiti Tercia, the system. And we do Dog Brothers Martial Arts, which is full contact.
Yep, and much more. We have Olympic-style wrestling.
And we have boxing.
Yeah, and
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all that kind of stuff. And all
and
you got...
Muay Thai.
I can't even say all this at once. It is amazing. So, if you want to learn how to do some martial arts, you call us at 281-9928, MontrealMartialArts.com for more information.
Free trials always available.
Yeah, free trials always available. But if you go and you take a discipline where, like, I don't really like this discipline, it's like, too bad, you signed a contract. It's like, no. You try out a class for free. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, some martial arts aren't for everybody. For instance, none of them are for me because I don't want to learn any of them. So, if you want to learn martial arts, you come down to Gamma. That's Gamma, the Gelinas Academy. It's mixed martial arts. It is right up your alley. You just don't even know it yet. Come and give us a visit. Give us a high five. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuhon and Son. You know, we don't have a jingle yet. I'm a musician. I'm intimidated by the idea of writing a music that represents you as a person. Like me, it's like a bunch of little Japanese chicks going Tuhon and Son and shit, and or like, you know, a bunch of like power metal being like, welcome to Tuhon and Son, yeah. But I'm like, that doesn't represent Dad. Daddy don't play that.
In another world, in another life.
I know. So what would Tuhon and Son's theme song be like in your head?
Na 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 na, and I come on screen with my hair combed to the side and a little sweater vest and a tie on in the middle of the morning and, you know, slippers and...
Yeah, I picture us rising from fire.
My one son.
All right. So, Dad, you went to Spain, and, you know, the funny thing about the show and the nature of the show is sometimes I want to ask you a question, but I hold back because I'm like, I shouldn't ask him this because I want it to sound more authentic on the podcast and stuff. That's what our lives have become. I'm like, Dad, I
can't ask you these questions.
Yeah,
now.
How do you fix the toilet? Ooh, I should say it on the podcast.
A poop cast.
Yeah. So, Dad, you went to Spain. How was it?
Oh, it was actually very nice. It was very quick. I mean, it was...
Tell us the nature of how you went to Spain, because I know that's kind of interesting.
So what happened is that my friend and colleague, Tuhon Jared Uhanji, who runs the Paquiti Tercia Tactical Association, was having a seminar in southern Spain, in the Andalusia region, a place called Chiclana de la Frontera.
Sounds fucking romantic.
Well, it's really beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
And we were on the Mediterranean. And anyway, what happened was that he gave me a message, or he sent me a message asking if I'd be interested in taking over the instruction, because one of the instructors at his camp was unable to make it. Due to visa problems, didn't apply for his visa soon enough. And so he asked me if I'd go, and he gave me the dates, and the dates were the...
conflicting with Leo.
Well, conflicting, yeah, Leo was coming to Montreal on the 19th. Leo Gachi, yeah. And so I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't go because I'm having a seminar, and it would not be very good for me mentally or physically to try to be two places at once.
So I'm going to interject with you, but I really appreciate that. I've dealt with promoters that have put on shows and stuff like that who don't show up to the shows they promote. And I've put on shows that I couldn't have been at either, and it never works out well. So it's just kind of like, good on you for saying, no, I can't, because I don't want to flake out on something.
Well, exactly. You know, even though it would have been, anyway. So I said no. We parted with pleasantries. And then the next day I got another message saying, hey, would you be able to come on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday instead of the Thursday or the Friday, Saturday, Sunday? And I said, well, look, I'll check. So I checked, and I found that there were flights that were possible. And we came up with a plan. I left, I had a plane booked late Sunday night, leaving at 10:30. flying to London, then flying to Madrid, then flying to this little airport called Jerez de la Frontera, which is a local regional airport for
Also
Chiclana.
sounds romantic.
Very, very romantic. And
There's a Spain.
so I told them the price of the ticket, which was, of course, an awful lot more expensive than if you booked it many weeks in advance. But they thought it was worth the investment. So
they thought you were worth the investment.
Okay, fine. So anyway, what happened?
That's fine. When I go somewhere, I'm like, it'll take me $30 to get there. They're like, yeah, go away. we don't like you that much.
So what happened is that I literally...
we like your band. Hey, dude, people say this to me. Hey, dude, we really like your band. Come to Toronto and play. It's just like, okay, well, it'll cost like, how much gas does it take to get to Toronto?
Let's say $75.
All right, so 75 there and back?
Well, let's say $100 there and back.
All right, fine. All right, well, we'll need $100 there and back, and we'll also need a place to stay and like maybe some beer. And they're just like, yeah, we don't like your band that much, man. We were wondering if you could FedEx yourselves into, yeah.
Well, FedEx would cost more than $100.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so what happened is that I got on a plane on Sunday night, and I took a plane overnight to London. I spent 5 hours wandering around in a sleepy daze.
This all sounds like an Elton John song.
Yeah, just about.
Please continue.
And then I took a plane to Madrid, and the funny thing is,
plane to Madrid.
Yes. Anyway, I took the plane to Madrid, and it was left an hour and a half late. So of course,
an hour and a half late.
This is probably funny for you, but I'm trying to tell you my story.
It's very funny to me.
And so what happened is that I got there, and I made it to the transfer point, and I got to what is called Jerez de la Frontera in time. I got there around 10 o'clock at night. I got the last taxi at the stand, and we took a 45 or so minute taxi ride.
Wait, the last taxi at the stand, so do they stop having taxis at a certain point?
I didn't know. I'm sure they would have been able to rustle one up, but I didn't have to go
because that's like
the
purge or something. There's a certain time of night where anything goes. There's no taxis. If you're at the airport, good luck.
Yeah, anyway, so I took a taxi to Chiclana de la Frontera. It was a hotel on the beach, and it was very nice. And but I got there after having traveled about 20 hours or 22 hours or something like that. And I wanted to go to bed, but instead of going to bed, we had
this is going.
Well, no, we had a meet and greet, so it was actually great because I felt all energized because these people were really nice. It was the Bikini Tercia Tactical Association in Europe. Is at the moment that time was the German group, and so we all met. I mean, when I say German, they're primarily German, but they all spoke English.
Yeah.
And so I did not, with my, Das ist gut and Jawohl and that type of thing, I was able to amuse them with my somewhat childish command of German. But they all spoke great English. And so next day we had 2 classes. And then the next day after that, we reversed those 2 classes. So I taught one group one thing and the other group another thing. And then we reversed it. And then on the third day, I taught the whole group something else. They were really, really amazing people. They're really, really nice. And, they even held a going away party for me, which was kind of a surprise.
Gee whiz. They treat you better there than they do in Canada, that's for sure.
Don't say that.
Well, I'm just, Canadians are used to you.
Yeah, I guess so. They're used to not showing up at my classes sometimes, too. Anyway, so it was really nice. It was amazing. We were 3.5 days of training, and I got on board on a plane. I took a taxi from the hotel to the airport at around 11:30. I got there. The only problem was that that plane was late. I was late half an hour. I only had an hour to change planes in the airport in Madrid. The Madrid airport is about the size of like I think about 9 football fields. And when I got there at door 89 of 90. And the stewardess, because I asked, I have to go from Madrid to England. Could you please tell me the flight, what the gate is? I thought she said 88, but turned out it was gate A8, which was through a security area because you had to leave the country and go through a police verification of your passport. I haven't run that much and that far and that hard in a long, long time.
You run you jog every day, and you go to a
Wasn't enough.
You go to an undisclosed park that I don't know of, where you do your push-ups and sit-ups. But it is nice to know, though, that in this time of your life, it just happens that you're doing these morning exercises. And just think about a year when you didn't do any morning exercises. How horrible!
I probably would have had a heart attack.
How horrible this would have been. So to know that you've been all rocky every morning is kind of like maybe you're preparing yourself for this.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like someday I'll be in a Spanish airport trying to find 8H having a heart attack.
Anyway, so I ran like crazy and I made it. My bag didn't make it. And it's funny because at the gate they were saying, well, you could stay because your bag didn't make it. And I said I didn't really care. My bag can get there when it wants.
Just some crappy presents for my son, like whatever.
No, there was no crappy presents. There was no presents for you.
I'm aware.
Anyway.
Yeah, just setting that up. I'm just,
okay. Anyway, so I got on the plane and it's kind of funny because I was on Iberia Airlines. And now, until you go on Iberia Airlines, I mean, because you read about these places, you read that, like if you go on Air Canada, they'll give you a soft drink and they'll sell you some food or they'll do something. Iberia, you have to buy everything, including the water. If you want water, it costs you €2.5. That's like $4. A Coke, $4.
Oh, wow.
A sandwich that on paper looks very good, but in reality is, you have to understand that people in different parts of the world don't eat the same food. When they could describe it with the same words, but it doesn't quite turn out the same way.
Yeah.
So it would, but it was very funny because it's like a 2.5 hour flight, and you're running like crazy, and you hope to get there on time. And you realize that you should have gone into that stupid little snack shop at the airport and picked something up.
Good Lord, people out there, I'm warning you, go to that duty free, always. Always go to that duty free, especially for booze when you're going to a country. When I went to Australia, alcohol there, everything there costs a lot of money because they make a lot of money there. But when you translate it from Canadian currency, when you trade from Canadian currency to Australian currency, it is just like you give them a big wad of money and they give you a couple of coins back because these coins are worth a lot of money. But in Japan, especially, $10 could be the size of a dime
and light
and light. And as an avid coin loser, I was, terrified the entire time. But just telling you guys, go that duty free because you'll be saving some money. Because once you get there and you realize that 2-4s cost like $50, and you're drinking wine out of a box.
Yeah, but I went to when I was in Heathrow.
See, this is the thing, Dad. You are not a drunk. And I don't fancy myself a drunk either, but I do on the road when you're sleeping 3 hours a night tend to indulge in the alcohol just because it makes the experience a little bit more smooth. But you don't rock that. Martial arts is your alcohol,
Yeah, well, it's funny because I have this little thing that I've actually sworn off of as a result of this trip. I used to go around and I would think that I was going to get a deal at some duty free. And this time I was in London and they had a bottle of vodka. It was called Standard Vodka. It was some Russian stuff because I had bought some stuff called, was it Beluga vodka. And it was really smooth. And I bought that in Russia, but I bought it at the duty free. And it was like €40 at the duty free. And I was so impressed with myself, €40 until I realized that it turns out it's $60. Who the heck buys a bottle of booze for $60? That's what you buy it for regularly.
Yeah.
And then I remember back when translating the rubles, there was this other kind of, I didn't see that particular vodka, but they had a vodka that the guys in Russia had bought, and it was called the Tsar's vodka, and it came in this rather unique bottle, and it was like a liter bottle. And that bottle at the duty free was like €40. In town, at a grocery store, a 500 milliliter, which is just half that size, was like $9.
Okay, so what you're saying is I should retract everything.
No, don't retract it. Just like make sure that whenever you
look up in your countries, if you have a friend that loves you in these countries, they will tell you. They will tell you go to the duty free.
Yeah, well, no, because it's funny because I've noticed that like in Montreal, the duty free is very expensive. But the reason is, it's not that they charge more duty, because that's it. It's duty free. What they decide is they want more profit. Yeah. Because, if I was to sell a pack of gum and it normally had a duty on it of $1, and I took that dollar off, and so instead of being $1, it would be 50 cents. But I decided to add a profit for me of $3 a box. So that
you're like, hey, you're in an airport. You want this fucking gum? You're
right.
gonna give me $3 for it,
and you're not going to go outside because they're not going to let you pass the duty.
Yeah,
they're not going to let you pass the security with this bottle of water. So you got to buy this really expensive bottle. So you start realizing that there are some places that are really cheap. And actually, when I was in Japan this year, I found that it was actually cheaper to buy booze at this store called Don Quixote, which is a like store downtown, than it was at the airport.
Well, no one told us about Don Quixote, so apparently no one loves us either.
Well, I guess.
Well, they're selling still cheap stuff. Here I am talking about booze so much, but it's not like I wake up in a day and I say I need booze. When I'm on tour, I wake up and I say I need booze. On a day-to-day basis.
My thing is when I go somewhere, I have my iPod with all my little TV shows that I watch. And now I don't find myself watching. I sort of say, okay, well, I'm going to save that for the next time I have to go 12 hours somewhere. But then when I get on the plane, I realize I'm so tired I'd rather sleep. And so I never really watch any of the things I bring with me. But I could if I wanted to. And that's really important. But I got home on time. Tuhon was waiting. He came out in the car with your mother, and we were,
Actually, there was a little mix-up. You thought that Tuhon was going to get here at like 9 o'clock at night, but it turned out it was 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that was actually very funny because he was supposed to call when he got through immigration, but he didn't. And so your mother thought that he'd missed his plane or had been refused or something, or was perhaps in immigration, because when you come through, they, you see these shows, they can choose to stop you. They can say, hey, you, what's in your bag? Or you've seen these shows, like there's a Canadian one, Border Patrol. Well, they can decide that, they can ask you about how much money you have, or are you here to work, or any of these questions that could possibly come up. And you can't stop them because you can't say, hey, I'm not, whenever I go to the United States, I am Mr. Yes, sir, no, sir. Because they can literally decide just by looking at your face, no, aren't coming in.
No, you're not getting in the country. Yeah, same thing with here. I try to avoid all conflict as much as possible. And it's kind of interesting that when I was a kid and in punk bands and stuff like that, and having green hair and all that, it never occurred to me. It's just you're just setting yourself up to kind of be either an example they're gonna look at you suspiciously, because now everybody has tattoos. Now everyone has dyed hair. But back in the late 90s,
it's funny when you see some grandmother with green hair and you go, oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. But back then I remember being in school and they were making a big deal out of dog collars and all that kind of stuff. But now I'm just like, God, I would not want to draw attention to myself in an airport. If I had green hair, I would probably just dye it a dark color just to save the hassle, because when it's 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't feel like taking a stand against the man. I just want to get on a fucking plane.
Yeah, I totally concur.
Yeah.
So anyway, Spain was fabulous.
I know a guy, and I'm going to say this right now. I know a guy. His name's Monkey. This guy, when I first met him, this is in Australia. This is after the 20 fucking hours of traveling and getting there in the middle of the day right before there's a music festival. So that's another additional 9 hours of staying awake because they're in full concert party mode, eventually getting to sleep. I wake up in the morning and this guy walks in holding a boombox, dressed as a pirate, wearing a mask. And I was convinced that I was the only one that could see him. And they walk in and everyone's acting all casual. And then there's a fucking pirate there. And I'm like, I've gone insane. And apparently, no, this guy Monkey, he's very common for him to do that kind of stuff. And he's been on a plane before, but he never took off a mask. That was his thing. And I find that really fascinating. He even brought these kangaroo legs, he called them, to a show that you could buy that you can bounce up and down on the street. And it's amazing after an hour how you just accept it. That's him. That's the way it is.
This is Australia.
Yeah, it's like in Family Guy. Of course the baby talks. Of course the dog talks. Yeah.
Not only that, the baby can come up with...
Yeah, so there's Monkey. Here's his mask.
Yeah. So anyway, but Spain was spectacular. It really was. These were really great people. We had about 40, 50 people, and we didn't take over the whole hotel because the hotel was pretty big, but we were a pretty big presence, and it was really nice because, these guys were, they were really personable. They were really, they weren't They're standoffish.
You've been to Spain before?
I was in Spain before. I was there in 2010. I was teaching a seminar for my friend Juan Caballero Babaloni.
Sounds good. It was it a rocking time?
It was, well, we just stayed in Madrid.
Like did you go with people?
Well, I went by myself, but we.
Okay. You and Mom both have an affiliation with Spain. Like you both seem to really love this country, but independently, and that's the fascinating part about it. You and Mom have kind of been world warriors together. Like when you went to Russia, she'd come with you. When she went to this, come with you. But Spain, you were like a lone wolf and stuff like that. When you travel without Mom, is it a different mindset? Like, are you much more into whatever you're doing?
Well, actually, it's weird because your mother, as you may have noticed, is really personable. She really gets along with tons of people. And what you realize after a very short period of time is that she is a great ally when you're on the road. Because unless you're kind of a monk or something like that, chances are you have a significant other or a wife. And if you've been doing martial arts for a period of time, like 10 or 15 years, you have a long-suffering wife. And it's kind of nice when people see that you're a human being, that you don't mistreat the people in your life. At least you don't try not to. And another thing is that, there's some places your mother now goes and swears by, where I'm not going to say where that is, but she used to say she'd never go there. Oh, I'll never go there. I never want to visit that place. And now she's, oh yeah, there. Oh, that's great. I really love that place. And then she would talk about all of her friends that, she makes friends. It's not so much that she makes friends easily, but she makes good friends. Yeah. More easily than I ever have.
Okay.
And so, I meet people, and I don't try to be standoffish, but I've always been a bit shyer than most people. And so...
Oh, this is a little thing. So, like, when I was growing up, my friends would be, like, really intimidated by you because all they would know about you is, like, Ryan's dad knows how to fight and stuff, and he never says anything. Like on The Simpsons, where it's just like Homer, where it's like there's this mob war between the Japanese mob and the Italian mob, and they're like, Homer, come inside. It's like, no, that little quiet guy's there in the corner. He's not doing anything, and when he does, it's going to be really cool. But that might be the same thing. It's you're kind of like the man with no name, like, in the Clint Eastwood thing, like not saying much and stuff. And when you don't say much, people can't get a read on you. When you can't get a read on you, mysterioism is not even a word now. But yeah, that kind of like quiet mystery thing, like kind of was.
I have a basic philosophy. It's better to keep your mouth shut and have people think you're foolish than open it and remove all doubt.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like when you do talk a lot and when you're just like enthusiastic and you want to say hi to everyone's like, oh man, God, leave me alone. But if you just walk in a room and just light a cigarette and, put it on a cat and walk out or something, they're like, oh my God, who's that guy?
He's so cool.
He's so cool. He doesn't care about things.
I'm willing to destroy my life and my self-respect just to have a few minutes of his time.
I can change him. Oh man,
It's funny how that resonates.
Yeah. Well, same thing. Not to sound like, people out there are like, oh, that's so sexist. It's always about the girls not knowing if the guy's a douchebag. It's like, oh man, if I can count on two hands how many nut crazy women I've gone for instead of the nice steady lady that would be good to me and all that kind of stuff and not give me any grief. I'm just like, nope, I'm hooking up with a psycho. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a rock and roller, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a rock and roll. We go together like peas and heroin. Yeah. So Spain was good to you.
Spain was great.
That's good.
And these guys they're great. And what was really nice is that they actually mentioned that they'd like to see me again, which was a really pleasant thing to hear.
Yeah, and just to say to the international fans, I don't know if any of you listen to this. You know what? Just everyone. We understand sometimes the shows are long and stuff like that, but we do appreciate every time I see a view count, every time it's more than 2 people, it just makes me smile. Like there's some people with podcasts out there getting like 10,000, whatever. I'm just like, man, when I see like if a view count is 50 or 1,000, I'm just like,
50 or 1,000.
50 or 1,000. Hey, I'm wide in between. When I see people just that people have listened or whatever, it's just kind of like I find it really flattering how 50 human beings are willing to dedicate, sure, with seminars with you, you're just like, you know, if you had 10,000 people at seminar, sure, financially it's rewarding, but would you actually be able to, you know, communicate with them at a proper level?
No.
Exactly. And 50 people, I think it's a very good turnout, actually, for Spain. But internet-wise, just, you know, if you are out there and you really enjoyed it, you know what? All I ask, because I'm the editor on this thing.
It's a small check.
Yeah, I'm the editor on this thing. All I want you guys to do is comment. Say anything. Say this episode's good, this episode sucks, whatever. Because I just like feedback. I like connecting with people. I'm like Mom.
It's too bad, though, that you don't get to read my Facebook feeds, only because people will write to me. They'll say something about something I've done, and, oh, by the way, I really like the podcast. And it really makes me, it brightens my day quite a bit, because, I mean, as you say, you know, when you do this stuff, you know, we're here, we're talking, you know, we're kind of burning our soul by the roots, and you're not really hoping that people listen.
I feel like I'm giving out Valentines, and
Right.
They're getting returned with gum stuck in them. I don't know. I just, you know, we're putting ourselves out there sometimes, and it's like, hey, if you're being entertained, I ran into Claudio from Gamma. I ran into him yesterday. He's a great guy, and he's a listener who's always saying, you know, on the Facebook page likes this or puts comments, or even like when I say who's got questions and puts the question, I'm just saying, if you do that stuff, guys, we talk about you on the show, so we should do it. We should do it too. By Claudio, I was reminiscing about that experience you guys had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry. It was every July we have a Kajikembo tournament and seminar in celebration of the founder Adriano Imperado's birthday.
Yeah, and Claudio was there kicking all kinds of ass, but between the dust and hotel that he's allergic to and his asthma and heat, he just couldn't take it anymore. But he still fought like a lion, and we're very proud of him at Gamma.
Yeah, no, it was really quite impressive. What was really more impressive is that, you know, we have to do this sparring stuff more often, but we generally don't do it as much as we should. So to see how well he and Carlins did, you know, considering they both fought and won. They didn't win everything, but they won a pretty decent amount. They did in full contact, you know, especially as you say, Claudio was dry heaving because he was coughing, and you know he couldn't stand up. He couldn't.
So you're kind of like just like, are you playing possum?
Well, I knew he wasn't playing possum, but it was one of those things. Well, as much as that kind of lung condition is physical, it's also psychological.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of stress, you will have, you know, asthma will take hold even more. So, I mean, I know that, for example, when I start, I have a lazy epiglottis. So I'll be swallowing some saliva, and then my body will decide at that point in time it needs to breathe in. So I'll inhale, and of course, a droplet of saliva will go down my throat or into my lung. And of course, your body will immediately turn on itself and start coughing to get rid of itself of this piece of water in your lung. Well, it's not even in the lung; it's just in the
none of this is going. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's going.
Okay.
All right. So just I don't know. The shout out to the people.
Shout out to people.
Yeah. Shout out to the people. You know.
Well, I just want to say, the beaches in Chiclana are awesome. It's like 100 yards from the edge where you arrive at the corner of the beach to the edge to the beach, and it's miles and miles long, and there are bars almost everywhere. It's great.
Oh, mouth-watering. Yeah, but I think the goal next year is that the next time we go to Japan, I'm like I definitely, I don't know, even if it's starting a Kickstarter, I gotta go with you, and I want to do Tuhon and Son in Japan, because that would just rock. That'd be so awesome, just to be like, you know, I would even put it together where I would bring all the film equipment and kind of be your documentary guy to really just make the trip more rounded, you know? Mm-hmm. Just be like, this is Philip Jonah in Japan. This is Philip Jonah eating in Japan.
This is Philip Jonah at the Pink Cow in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. This is Philip Jonah and Ryan looking for discount liquor in Japan. Speaking of drinking, Mom got a text message from you. in Spain, I'm pretty sure. And it was just like, I'm wasted. We're going back to the hotel. And Mom thought everybody left you and you were walking home by yourself. And she was, because, you're nighttime there, we're daytime here. And she's kind of like, talking to me about how concerned she was and all that stuff. And it's just like what she didn't know, or what you failed to mention, is like there was too many of us to get in the cab. So we all didn't take a cab, and we all walked together.
Well, we got kicked out of the cab.
Oh, we got kicked out.
We were 7 people. It was a 7-person cab, and 1 person came in. And instead of lying down,
7 people still pretty good for a cab, though.
Yeah, I know, but it was a van. But anyway, the back seat, one guy should have kind of laid down a bit to not be seen. But since he was sitting on somebody's lap, the cab driver saw him and kicked us out. And the 2 girls who were looking for a cab, who got in right away and took the cab off, were very happy to see that we were useless and not cab-like.
I like how you're pulling the same crap I did in my 20s when you're this old.
We are recovering our lost and misspent youth.
This is Philip Gelina in Spain, getting kicked out of a cab. Then he'll go twerking in a club.
Not lost in space, just lost in Spain.
Yeah. The episode will be called I've Never Been to Spain, but Dad has. Yeah. We'll finish up now because we're going to give our listeners a short episode for a change of having to go through an hour of our meandering, yeah. But just to say out there, everybody out there, and if we put this out in time, my hero Kevin Smith, he has a new horror movie called Tusk, and it is bizarre, and Dad would hate it. Just saying, because Dad doesn't.
I hate all horror movies.
Yeah, Dad hates all horror movies, but I dig them. This is kind of like one of those weird horror movies from the 80s, like, Reanimator, that kind of bizarre stuff, and there's no CGI, and it's this guy who, I don't know, just look online, look on a trailer. But basically, this movie, why I'm saying this right now, is that this movie kind of bombed in the US because they put it on 600 screens, but they didn't really put any advertisement, so no one knew it was playing. And every person I've said that Tusk opened up, what's the date today? It's September. It's October
4th today. Today's the 4th. It's October 4th today.
Yeah, anyway, today's October 4th, and it opened up on October 3rd. And every person I said that I was going to the cinema, they're like, oh, I didn't know it was playing. So just as someone who's put on shows, and everyone said after the fact, oh, I didn't know you were playing. And I'm sure, Dad, you've put on things where right after the fact, they're like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. I'm telling you it's happening. And whether if you like the movie or hate the movie, go support a fine filmmaker like Kevin Smith, because frankly, I gave like $19 to Michael Bay to see a stupid Transformers 15 or whatever, and as a result, I went and saw Tusk twice because I want to support my hero and not that other zero. Bam! Before we wrap this up today, Dad, any other final comments on Spain?
No. But I am going back to Europe. I'm going back to France in November, a couple of days after my birthday.
More romantic stuff. Wow, Dad, how many times have you left the country this year?
Officially? No, because I go down to Plattsburgh to mail stuff for the family trees.
Okay. I don't mean America. All right, not including America. How many times do you think you've left the country?
I had to fly. Have I left the continent?
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
How many times have you James Bonded?
Well, actually, not that many. I've done a couple of trips to Japan.
Only a couple of trips to Japan. Fuck you, Dad. All right, we're gonna end on that. That's pretty funny. All right, thanks for listening to Tuhon and Son, a special I've never been to Spain, but Dad has edition. I am Ryan Stick Gelina.
And I'm Tuhon Philip Gelina.
And you're listening to my asshole dad brag about his shit. All right, so if you want to learn some real martial arts, you come down to Gamma. That's 514-281-9928, MontrealMartialArts.com. What's the address?
1121 St. Catherine Street
St.
West.
Catherine Street.
That's between Peel and Stanley.
Beautiful Montreal right down there. You go to HMV, you learn how to kick a little ass, and you go to Chapters because it's closing down and everything's 50% off, all in the same couple of hours. Really good time. Gamma has a lot of hearts. This school is so old that we have a website called MontrealMartialArts.com. That's how long you've been doing this. No one bought MontrealMartialArts.com until you that domain is yours because you've been doing this forever. When did you buy that?
A long time ago.
A long time. A long time ago, Philip opened up a school and he bought himself a domain name. Yeah.
Is that our jingle?
No, absolutely not. I will never sing that again. Yeah. All right. So if you want to learn some real Montreal martial arts, you come down to Gamma because that's the way to go. And then you can meet Dad in person, and you could be like, "Hey, I listen to your show. You guys talk too much," and you'd be like, "Shut up! This is out of punch." But no, seriously, great people, great teachers, and a really great vibe, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because Dad's my dad. I'm saying that because I believe in Gamma. In fact, I'm gonna get a Gamma tattoo someday, and you better not change the name of the gym after I get that tattoo, because that's like getting a Van Halen tattoo right before Sammy Hagar joins. Okay, like it's unfortunate.